What's up, everybody? This is Avilo here. I'm going to be bringing you guys another awesome video. This is going to be my first Legacy of the Void impressions video. I'll probably do many more throughout the course of the beta, but this is the first one. So basically what we're going to be doing here, guys, I'm going to be going through most of the new things in the beta. Beta came out about 3 days ago now, almost 4 days ago, and so yeah, this is the first. I guess I'm just gonna call this my Legacy of the Void's impression video number 1, and it's good. It's really fucking good. Like after playing the beta so far, like I don't think I could go back to Heart of the Swarm. I just can't do it, man. I can't go back there. I can't go back. I can't go back. Don't send me back. Don't make me go back. That's how fucking good. That's how fucking good these changes are for Legacy of the Void. All right, so why is it so good? Let me go over the first thing. All right, so the biggest changes, of course. Before I go into each individual race, the biggest change that I see that completely changes up the game and makes it an entirely new ball game, where everybody's going to have to adapt. Anybody that wants to call themselves a pro gamer will have to adapt to the economy changes. So they made it so there's only like 750 minerals at half the patches in like your main base and your natural or whatever. And this completely changes the game. And it goes along with a lot of the other changes and new units and abilities that they added to the game. You have to expand. You have to expand rapidly. I've had some games already where I was on like 4 bases or 5 bases at like the 10-minute mark. Real in-game. Remember the timer is now real seconds. So what would have been around like the 14-minute mark or something like that in Heart of the Swarm is around the 10 to 11-minute mark now. And I'm on like 5 bases, where in Heart of the Swarm or Wings of Liberty, I would have been on like 3 bases, 2 or 3 bases at that point in the game. Sometimes even 2 base. And now you're on like 5 bases at that point in the game because you have to be. And the economy, it's just great. The game is really chaotic in a good way. Like, the attacks can happen really often. The new units the new units and abilities that they added to the game promote attacking. They promote cost efficiency in small, tiny engagements. The Cyclone, you know, can lock on targets and kill things in low unit numbers. The Ravager with a skill shot, really good. The Disruptor, really cost efficient. And like I said, I'll go into those when I go into each individual race. But the point I'm making is all the new, and the Medevac dropping in and out of, you know, tanks. The tank evac, I call it. All of the new changes and unit additions and stuff are really in line with the economy changes, and I think that's what people have to remember too. That these new units and stuff seem to be balanced specifically for this economy chain, for the economy in the beta, because across multiple bases, your units, you really end up valuing your units. If you lose that Cyclone, that's actually a huge investment that you lost, because you know you could have killed so much with that one unit, and you know you feel like you're on a timer essentially, in a good way, because the game progresses and more of the map is taken, just like in Brood War. And it's not perfect, I'm sure, but it's a lot better. I think it's a huge, vast improvement over Heart of the Swarm. I initially was really worried that the economy changes would be really bad and would promote like more turtling, like Heart of the Swarm would promote, you know, since you can't lose units. But it actually, no, it's actually really good. Like, you have an advantage. If you take more bases than your opponent, you are at an advantage for sure. You can tell, you can really tell that taking more bases puts you at a really clear advantage of your opponent. So I mean, this opens up even containment strategies. You can try and contain your opponent on like 2 or 3 bases if you wanted to, and you could starve them out, just like in Brood War. You know, you're gonna be out of money. You're gonna be fucked. You need to expand. So that's the first thing I want to go over. The economy change is really good. Completely changes the game. I'm sure in the next week or two, you guys are gonna when people cast replays and whatnot. Maybe I'll do some replay cast myself as well. I'm sure other big name casters are gonna be too. But you can really tell the games are really chaotic and there's action everywhere. It's good. So let's go to the next thing. The 12 workers to begin each game. Really good. Game gets started immediately. It's good. You know, there's no downtime. It's amazing. Like, you just get right into the game. It really reminds me of Command and Conquer. For people that didn't play Command and Conquer, the way Command and Conquer games would go is you would literally get like there were games would literally sometimes last 2 to 3 minutes long, real time. The games got started really quick, and sometimes they even ended really quick. And I feel like that's a good thing for StarCraft, and that's sort of what starting with 12 workers does. You get right into the action, right into the build order, right into the game. Stuff starts happening like, you know, 2 to 3 minutes quicker. It's good. It's overall, it's really good. So okay, let's go into the racial changes. A lot of stuff. I'm sure I'm gonna miss some things. So I'll go into the biggest ones that I've noticed, and the good and the bad. So let's just go into everything here. Oh, and also another thing to note. You'll notice like most of the new units and stuff and abilities really promote like microing and anti-microing against those units and abilities, which is a huge focus. I think that Blizzard seems to be. I think that seems to be a huge focus. Adding in more micro opportunities for people to show off, you know, their skill, and I have felt this. I have felt the Brood War feel of micromanagement in the beta so far, and I don't think it's just because it's new. I think it's because the things that they've added promote this. And so I'll start with Zerg, guys. Let me go into a couple changes that are good. I'm just gonna list them off. The Ultralisk has up to 8 armor now. I don't think that's good. It was a little bit unnecessary. Ultras might be a little too strong against Bio. Probably not a good change. That little overboard, unnecessary. The Viper, it basically has Irradiate that works on any unit. I think that that's too strong as well. I understand it's good against clumped air, but I think that adding that to the Viper makes the Viper like incredibly broken, more so than the Heart of the Swarm Raven, and more so than the Swarm Host in Heart of the Swarm. I think the Viper is going to be like, you know, in a couple of weeks we're going to find out the Viper is the new god unit in the game. You know, just like the Raven and the Swarm Host were sort of like god tier units in a way, like for late game. I think the Viper is like, I think that ability is a little bit unnecessary and probably too strong. But we'll see, you know. I thought the Viper was already really, really strong in Heart of the Swarm, but people didn't really use it too much. I feel like adding another ability on top of that is probably too much. We'll see. The Ravager. Now here's... Actually, I'll do the Ravager at the end. Zergling, the Crackling upgrade, as it's so affectionately referred to as, does more attack speed, which is really nice. So late game, your Zerglings can attack faster, like sort of like StarCraft 1. Like they attack really, really fucking fast. They kill things fast. It's amazing. Which I think is good because in Wings of Liberty and Heart of the Swarm, I didn't even realize that upgrade existed. I sort of forgot about it. So it's good that they're making that useful. So Zerglings late game maybe will be really strong. Roach Speed Burrow. Roaches move really fucking fast underground. I think that has a lot of micro potential. Too strong, too weak. Probably not too weak. Too strong, probably not. We'll see if people use that. Here's one that I think I'm gonna highlight here. The Nidus Worm cannot be targeted when it warps in. You know, when you spawn a Nidus Worm, it can't be targeted. I feel like this should not be in the game. This is something that, from a design perspective, it feels to me like a global ability that's a little broken. It would be like making a ghost invincible while nuking or something. Like the counterplay, I feel like it's just this is something that's going to bring frustration more than fun. And, you know, you want fun. You don't want frustration for any player that's playing the game. If you see a Nidus Worm in your base, you should be able to go kill it as it's spawning. It's a little bit... This change, I feel, is really ridiculous and was poorly thought out. It's just... It's something that is not... It removes counterplay. Imagine if you make two Nidus networks at the same time. You can't even target either one of them as they're going up. I feel like this will be changed back to what it was. I hope it is. I hope it's reverted back. I do hope that they make you know, the Nidus Worm exit cheaper. I would be all for that if they made it so, like, making a Nidus Worm, like, the exits cost maybe like 100 minerals 50 gas instead of 100 minerals 100 gas, like it was in Heart of the Swarm. I feel like that would be a good change. But making it invincible as it spawns in somebody's base is, let's just be honest, that's fucking stupid. That should not be in the game. And I will say that. I'll say that until I feel, you know, it's stupid. No counterplay should not be in the game. You can't have stuff like that that's like, it's just invincible, you know. You know something is probably going to be too strong if you can see it and then can't stop it anyways. And I feel like that's what that would be. And so now let's get to the Ravager. There's a lot of whining and controversy about this unit, whether it's too strong. It is really, really strong. It might be too strong. Even before the official beta was out, in the Legacy of the Void alpha fan-made mod, I actually stopped playing the alpha fan-made mod. The reason why I stopped playing it was because of this unit. This unit was absurdly broken that it just countered everything in the game. I don't know if it... I've played against this. I've beaten Ravagers quite a lot with mech so far in my games. I've played almost exclusively mech. The one game I played of Bio, I played somebody that went Roach, or they went Ravager Hydra, and it seemed like Bio just sort of sucked against the I'm really worried about Bio play sort of sucking, because this is another AoE unit. But yeah, is it too strong? I don't know. In ZVZ, it seems like whoever masses Ravagers wins. ZVP, it seems really, really strong too. It's sort of all the corrosive artillery shot, the Kog'Maw artillery shot outranges static defense. It might be too strong, but I don't know yet. It's like I said, it's only 4 days in. I haven't had any problems with it like I said, in TVZ when I've been going mech. I haven't had that many problems with this. Although this thing technically does counter siege tanks really well. Although interestingly enough, whenever I played against this, people that have tried to make like 8 to 10 of them, and I was going mech, and I had maybe like 3 or 4 siege tanks that are stationary, you would think that I would die, that he would just launch the artillery shot onto my tanks, and that if I only had like 3 or 4 tanks versus like 10 of these, I would just be auto-lose. Interestingly enough, the ability for the medevac to swoop in and pick up your tank wherever I played a bunch of people, wherever they would use the artillery shot on a siege tank that was stationary, bam, I would micro pick up my tank, drop it like 2 inches away, and then move that medevac and go pick up another tank that got targeted and move it away. So you can tell there's actually, like, you can micro against this even with tanks and medevacs, which is some really interesting micro. But I'm still not sure, you know, it depends. Like, when you build a lot of these things, they are really powerful, so it might be a problem unit. We'll have to see. I don't know. So I think that's probably the biggest concern right now for Zerg. So that might be tweaked about numbers-wise. More importantly, design-wise, I think it's a really good unit. The skill shot element to it, I think that's good. Design-wise, the Ravager is a-okay. Balance-wise, probably not right now. It probably has to be tweaked, but that's fine. You know, this is the beta. Like, you know, a lot of this feedback that we're giving Blizzard is should be design-oriented feedback, not necessarily balanced feedback, because unless it's something that's like that seems like way overboard, but that's actually really needing the chance to test all of the new designs. So let's get to Protoss here. The Adept. That's the thing. The Adept basically fucking launches its shadow out, is really mobile, and it sort of sucks. It's like a Reaper, but like a Protoss Reaper. Here's my problem with the Adept. In the games I've played, the Adept feels like it just sucks. It feels sort of weak, but it's really strong how mobile it is, but it feels like it doesn't really fit Protoss, to be honest. Like, this is a tough one. The couple of games I played with it, the ability seemed really underwhelming. Like, it seemed strong, but it also seemed really underwhelming. I'm trying to think here, like, it doesn't do enough damage, maybe. Like, it feels like a Reaper. It feels like a Reaper. It feels like you build maybe a couple at the start of the game, and then you don't really build too many later on. Although maybe this could be because I've been playing mech every game, and maybe they're not as useful against mech. Maybe against bio these things are more useful because they have a splash damage upgrade. I'm not sure how I feel about it. Like, it feels on the weak side to me. Whenever I use them, it felt like it really weak. But I feel like this is one of those units, like, it's sort of like the Reaper, where if they make it stronger, it might be too strong and like really broken. Just like Reapers, like with the really fast speed, if they made the Reaper stronger, it would be like absolutely broken. So it like the Reaper is only useful in the first couple of minutes of the game, and then it's like useless. So I feel like this is like a really tough thing for Blizzard to deal with. The design is cool. It has like a shadow, like for people that played League of Legends. The ability is sort of like Zed, like the champion Zed's shadow, where he like projects a shadow and then teleports to the shadow. The difference here being that it's like after a fixed duration, so the Adept after like 7 seconds will go to the shadow. I would like it. And this is me as a Terran player saying this. I would like it if Blizzard tested during the live beta. Just as a test. Remember, they could all... It's beta. Why not? They can iterate. They can fucking revert it. They can change it back. I would love it if Blizzard tested the Adept, allowing for you to manually... Once you send a shadow out, you don't have to wait 7 seconds. You don't have to wait a fixed duration. Make it dynamic where the player can decide when he wants to go to the shadow. I would love it if they did that right. If they tested that in the next beta patch, I think that would be amazing. And that would maybe make the unit a little bit stronger without actually changing the stats on the unit. That would be like more user controlled, like more, you know, this is me showing my skill with the unit. I'm gonna like send one Adept here, one Adept there, and right when you start attacking this one, I'm gonna TP it, I'm gonna fucking teleport to the shadow over there, and then I'm gonna move this one over here, teleport to the shadow, and we have like 5 Adepts in like 5 different places and go crazy. So I would love it if they tested that at least for like one patch, like maybe like for a couple days or a week. Make it so that it's not a fixed duration on the shadow, and make it so you can manually control when you want to teleport to the shadow. Go crazy. Go crazy, Blizzard. This is the beta, man. Go fucking go balls out. Do it. I'm a Terran player. I'm asking for this punishment. I think that would be a good test in the live beta right now for this unit without tweaking its attack stats or anything else. Tweak its functionality and its usability, and then see, wow, this is really good, or oh, that's probably not good. Like, test it in the test it. I think we'll all be amazed to see what people do with this unit if you allow the more user functionality on it and more you know, user skill in terms of like, I'm gonna TP to that shadow now and that shadow now, and maybe like if you don't teleport to a certain shadow within like 5 seconds, then the shadow disappears and then the adept stays where it is or something like that. Test it. Do it. So that's my thoughts on the adept. I think they should test that out. Allow, instead of the fixed duration, because the fixed duration feels a little clunky to me anyways. And I think the more you put the game into the hands of the player, into the hands of the players, we'll see more amazing fucking... We'll see more amazing, amazing things where, like, the caster's like, oh my god, is he gonna get the adept out of there? Oh, shit! He just TP'd to the he just got out of there just barely. He, like, purposely TP'd to the shadow in that direction or whatever. Like, I think we'll see a lot of moments like that that will be really, really good. That will be really good. Alright, so next thing here, Disruptor. Oh! Disruptor. Disruptor. I don't like this. Not because of how powerful it is. I like that it's powerful. I like that it's a game changer in that respect. Here's what I don't like about the Disruptor. It is exactly like the Nidus Worm that I just described to you. There is no counterplay to it. I played a game as Zerg. All my Zerg brethren out there, I played a game. I went infested Terran mode and I played a game as Zerg against, who was it? It was Pily, who was abusing the fuck out of these things. I played a game as Zerg against him, and he loaded up, he had 2 Warp Prisms. Each had a Disruptor in them, or 2 Disruptors. He unloads the Warp Prism, clicks the button to make the Disruptor invincible. That's right, invincible. It goes invulnerable. Kills workers, even... I tried to split my workers perfectly. I tried to split my drones perfectly each time. And then he loads it back up and runs away and comes back another 30 seconds. And the Disruptor does it again. Over and over again. It's the Disruptor is invincible. I don't know about... I feel like... I mean... I think they should wait on it, of course. But I feel like... I feel like if it's not invincible, then it'll probably get targeted down too quickly and then be useless. But I feel like when it's invincible and you can just drop it out and then load it back in the Warp Prism, it's like you didn't, like, you really just have to take out the Warp Prism, which is hard enough as it is. And the reason why I feel like this is, like, really, really frustrating, even just the one game I played against it as a Zerg, it's because, like, you can't chip away at it. Like, the Disruptor, it goes invincible. It doesn't take any damage. Loads back in the Warp Prism. The Warp Prism's not taking... Like, the Warp Prism has shields. Protoss have shields, remember. So the Warp Prism flies away, regenerates some shields. The Disruptor's regenerating shields of whatever damage it did take, which is probably nothing, because it was invincible. Whereas, like, you know, a tank dropping out of a medevac... If the Queens or like a Roach like attacks the tank is taking damage. Like, it took permanent damage to its hull. So like you can't, the Terran player can't do that infinitely, because eventually the medevac is gonna get low on health and the tank is gonna get low on health. So there's like counterplay to that, like when there's a timer on that. Whereas like with the Warp Prism and the Disruptor, I feel like there's not a timer on it. They can just come back and do it every, you know, 20 to 30 seconds, and then you can't really do anything against it because the Disruptor's invincible. So I don't know about the Disruptor. It does feel really powerful, which is good. You know, it's something that can break up death balls for sure. Although I don't know if it could also be added to a death ball. You got a ball and a ball and a ball, death balls squared, death ball. Fuck, like I don't know about this. Feels really strong in drops. Like, there's not, you know, if you don't take out the Warp Prism, it's going to keep coming back over and over again, and you're not going to have much counterplay to it, other than killing the Warp Prism. So, we'll see. I do like it, though. I do like it. It is a game changer. I do like it, so I think Blizzard should leave it as it is right now, and just see how it goes. Maybe I didn't counter it that well in the game I played as Zerg, perhaps. Maybe. maybe other people are already countering them better. I don't know. I only play, like, it was only that 1 or 2 games I played as Zerg where I played against this thing, and I'm just like, well, it just comes in and then flies away. Alright, next thing. The Warp Prism change. Warp Prisms can, like, pick up units from, like, this far away or some shit. About the width of my head. I don't know. So, I think it's good. Allows more harassment micro-opportunities, which is in line with the economy changes. The ability to harass is much more valuable when you're going to run out of minerals on your main base. Harassment right now in Legacy of the Void Beta is really important, and you really feel the impact of, like, losing those workers. You're just like, oh, fuck. I lost 10 workers and I need to be expanding right now. I need to either, like, go kill his workers or, like, fuck, like, so that's a good change, the Warp Prism. Stasis Ward. The Oracle has a Stasis Ward. I haven't actually seen anybody use it yet, but I'm sure that it's really good and really strong, and a game changer as well. Just haven't seen it. In my games, I haven't seen anybody utilize it yet, but I'm sure that it's really, really good. Now, the Immortal has an activated shield. Whatever. The Immortal's... It's still really strong against mech. I'll get into that a little bit later. And what else? Oh, okay, finally. Okay, if you had to ask me what's the most broken unit, what is the most broken unit right now in Legacy of the Void in terms of balance and design? I'm gonna have to say the Carrier, which is very surprising to even myself. The Carrier is insanely strong. I feel a little bit too strong against everything right now. It's nice that it's being used. I mean, that's a good change for sure, but it feels, out of everything, the Cyclone, the Ravager, the Disruptor, like, out of everything, it's actually the Carrier that is a little bit too cost efficient, that I've seen in my games. Even Cyclones and Vikings do not even beat Carrier. Like, the Carrier is actually beating its counters right now. I don't think there's actually a good Carrier counter from any race that I can think of. The Carrier just actually beats everything. Which, of course, is probably not intended for a unit to beat everything so hard. You need an absurd number of Vikings, an absurd number of Widow Mines, an absurd number of Cyclones, Ravens, or whatever. The Carrier is, on top of the fact that you can launch out the Interceptors and then run the Carriers away, which reminds me of a Swarm Host. It very much reminds me of the Swarm Host. It launches its shit out and then just runs away so you can't kill it. But it's like those Carriers are still right there. All the Interceptors are still killing things as if like those 8 Carriers are right there at that location when the Carriers just flew away and cannot be touched. This unit is broken design-wise and balance-wise right now, I would say, because it's beating its unit counters way too hard. It's just beating unit counters too hard right now. You know, it beats the Ravager. It beats. It probably beats even Tempest now. It beats maybe not Void Ray. It probably beats Void Rays too. It beats everything. What unit? What if you make it there? If you make it to late game, if you get there, if you get to those like 8 Carriers plus, what beats this? Like, there's nothing really that like beats the Carrier at that point. You're just sort of screwed. And then on top of that, if they launch all the Interceptors out during a battle and then just fly away, you basically are losing an entire army. For of course, the cost of the Interceptors. You know, the Interceptors do cost money at least, unlike the Swarm Host, which were free. But it does feel like this thing is way too strong in terms of balance and design at the moment. I honestly think it doesn't need the ability to launch out the Interceptors. It's a little bit too strong. The Carrier itself is really good. It always has been. But the Carrier, like, I think with the economy changes, the Carrier actually really shines now as a strong, as a really strong unit. because of the economy changes. When you get this unit, it's just a really, really cost-efficient, valuable unit now. Which nobody would have imagined ever saying a year ago that carriers would actually be really strong and good to make. But with the economy changes on top of everything else, I feel like that pushed this over the edge. And the launch capability of the interceptors is probably not necessary. But we'll see. I think that it's probably the most broken thing in the beta right now in terms of design and balance. So let's get to Terran. There's actually a lot of Terran stuff to talk about. So let's go first. You guys remember all those times that Oracle flew into your base and you just auto lost the game in Heart of the Swarm and you get really frustrated and pissed off, including myself? Well, about a year and a half ago, 2 years, if you look up on this very YouTube account, on my YouTube, you'll notice that I was suggesting, I'm like, hey Blizzard, like, early game TVP, they can go DTs, Proxy Oracle, Proxy Immortal, they can go Proxy Void Ray, they can go 3-gate, they can go 5-gate, they can go Void Ray, like, there's so many options. They can go DTs, they can go Archon, they can go Charge Law, they go Templar, they go Warp Prism, Colossus. The list goes on of how many all-ins there are for Protoss. And, you know, Proxied Oracle. Proxy Oracle is probably the biggest thing that became really broken and still is in Heart of the Swarm. You know, somebody builds a Proxied Stargate. If you don't scout it and you don't have a turret, you lose. GG. You're dead. Doesn't matter if it was a Diamond Protoss, a Bronze Protoss, or a Grandmaster's Pro Gamer GSL Champion doing it to you. It looked the same, and I suggested ages ago, how about they remove the engineering bay requirement from the missile turret? Make it so you can just build turrets after you have a barracks or something. And lo and behold, they listened. They listened. So now, you can build missile turrets without an engineering bay. You just need a barracks to build a missile turret. Hallelujah. So this changes TVP quite a bit. This changes the ballgame quite a bit. You're not going to have as many automatic losses to Protoss as you would have had before, because obviously the engineering bay is pretty cheap. It's 125 minerals, but that's not what was causing the game to be so skewed early game. It's the fact that, like, if you didn't already build the E-Bay, you couldn't build a turret, and then you died. You took so much damage from the Oracle or the DTs or whatever that you just died, and you lost the game. Or you got so far behind that the game was a foregone conclusion, you better pull your SCVs to try and come back or something. So what this does is, it gives Terran an actual counter to Proxy Oracles, to DTs. You can invest the 100 minerals into the turret. And you haven't just automatically lost the game anymore, which is great. You know, it's finally, it's such a big change. It was really frustrating in Heart of the Swarm to have somebody just fly an Oracle in, and you're just like, oh, I didn't scout the very corner of the map. Like, I sent my Reaper around, like, 95% of the Fog of War around Overgrowth. I scouted it, and I didn't scout, like, this much of... I didn't scout this tiny portion of the map. This tiny little portion this big on the mini-map. And that's where the Stargate was, and he flew the Oracle in. I didn't build a turret. And now I just auto-lost the game to this bullshit. Like, it's not even StarCraft. It's just poker or dice rolls at that point. So this will help against that. If you're not sure, build a turret. Now you won't auto-lose the game, and we can actually play some StarCraft 2 against Protoss. It's amazing. I love it. This is probably one of the biggest changes in the beta. It seems like a really small change, but this is it's a huge change. It's such a huge change. Thank you, Blizzard. Thank you for listening to myself and anybody else that suggested something like this, because it's a huge fucking... So much... You know, my blood pressure was starting to get really high over losing to like, people that I knew were way worse than myself. That were just hiding Stargates in random locations on the map. And then I just die because you know, I just guessed wrong. I didn't build a turret. I died. Oh, fuck. Oh, this game I built 3 turrets, and he didn't go for the Oracle. Fuck! I'm behind now, because with that 300 minerals, he built a Nexus, and I'm just fucking behind. Ah. So this is a great change. I like it. I like it. Alright, let's get to the Marauder change. Marauder's attack is split into 2. Why? 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 I don't know why. Why did they do this? I'm not sure why they split the Marauder's attack into 2. It nerfs it against Ultras. It nerfs it against everything. Why? Oh, well, I did forget to mention, they did nerf the Colossus range by 1, which was something very important. Could that be why? And the Immortal doesn't have its shield, so now with the armor upgrades, they'll take less damage from Marauders, since it doesn't have the shield. Maybe that's why. I don't like this change. I don't know if it'll have a huge impact or not. This is the type of change we need to like test like over the course of like 1,000 bio games. Like this is a change that we'll just have to wait and see how it really impact. We're not going to feel the impact of this, whether it's really bad or obviously it's not going to be good for Terran. Whether this is like doable, whether Terran can still make bio work with the Marauder in this case. I don't know why this was done exactly. I'm not sure what the reasoning was. Blizzard would have to, I think they would have, it would be nice if they went through their own reasoning for all these changes. Right now I'm just sort of like I'm just trying to piece together why they would change the Marauder. That's all I can think of. Maybe since they made Colossus weaker and Immortals are a little weaker. Maybe they did this because of that. So yeah. Alright, let's go to the Banshee. Apparently it has a speed upgrade, which I did not realize it had. I thought that it came with more speed from the get-go, like right when it comes out of the starport. Unless I'm mistaken and there's actually a Banshee speed upgrade. I don't think there's a Banshee speed upgrade. I mean, as far as I've seen, I didn't see a Banshee speed upgrade anywhere. I think that from what I could tell, it comes out of the gate with a little bit more speed. But I'll have to look into that. I didn't see a Banshee speed upgrade so I don't know if that's even in the game. But Banshees are, I do have to talk a little bit more about the Banshee because Banshee opener in TVP changes it's viable again. It's actually viable. You can go Banshees in Terran versus Protoss, completely viable. Why? Well, let's go back to that eBay change. Now, if you open up Banshee, if you open up Cloak Banshee, you can build a turret. You don't auto-lose to the Oracle anymore. So, now, Protoss has to account for this build. Protoss actually has to account for you going Cloak Banshee again. Which keeps them honest. They can't be as greedy now. Because the fact that Cloak Banshee is more viable again changes the ballgame entirely. And that's another thing I've made countless videos about too. You know, now you don't have to open Reaper Expand every single TVP. There's a little bit more, there's a couple more opening options, just like Protoss has. You know, Protoss can open Oracle, Phoenix, DTs, Blink Stalkers, the list goes on, Void Rays, whatever. There's so many, Immortal All-In. Protoss has a lot of opening options. Now, what I really feel is really good about Legacy of the Void, Terran can open Reaper, they can open Bio, they can open Cyclone, they can open up Cloak Banshee. There's more, Protoss has to be, they're kept more honest by the possibilities that Terran can do these things. So, you know, maybe they need to get an observer. Maybe they need to build an Oracle and keep it at home for detection. Really, really good. Really good change. Really good that the Banshee got this slight little buff to its speed or whatever. And also, the fact that eBay changes there makes the Banshee more viable because you don't auto lose to the Oracle anymore or to DTs. So you can go cloak Banshee and you'll probably get a return on your investment with that Banshee, which makes it a viable opening again. I like it. I like it. And with that said, what else makes Banshees viable again? The Cyclone. Probably one of the other most controversial units in the beta so far. The Cyclone. You hear every streamer that's Protoss right now, pretty much Protoss, because saying that it's overpowered or whatever. And I'm going to give you the full real talk on this unit, the full disclosure on whether it's overpowered or not. Like I just said about the Banshee openings are actually more let's get to the first thing that the Cyclone does. What does the Cyclone do for TVP? You can now open mech. You can actually open mech with factories. That's right, factories! You can open mech in TVP with factories. You don't have to go bio anymore. You can. I haven't played any bio openings yet in TVP, but now you also can go mech. I've waited so long for this moment. I've waited so fucking long since the game has been out, basically. So the Cyclone allows you to open mech. Why? Because it's an anti-air unit. It's a unit that shoots up. You can deal with oracles, it shoots up, but also it can deal with stalkers and blink stalkers too. So you don't just auto lose if your opponent goes for blink, or if they go for that oracle or whatever, or if they go for a void ray, you can build a unit that can fight and trade against a void ray or whatever. So this is a unit that literally changes the ball game. It literally changes StarCraft 2. It changes the entire metagame and makes the game more diverse to play, and is in that respect, it's really good. Really, really good. Now, what does the unit do? It locks onto a target, and then once it is locked on, the range is insane. And I think this is where people's complaints will be, or especially the Protoss players' complaints, that like once it's locked on, that unit is sort of just fucked. You have to run it out of the range, although the Cyclone can stay within the range. Now here's where I have a problem with a lot of the Protoss streamers and a lot of the community. It's a good unit. It has potential. It has the micro potential is here. It's just that in this case, the micro is on both players instead of only just the Terran player. And I went into MS Paint yesterday before I ended my stream, and I described the way you micro a Cyclone, or the way you micro against a Cyclone, is the same way you micro against a Raven Seeker missile. And I haven't seen any Protoss players do it yet. Most of them just move, and then the Cyclone targets a unit and then moves back, and then that unit dies. What you're supposed to do, and I haven't seen anybody do it yet really, once the Cyclone locks onto a target, the Protoss should be moving their units forward to engage in the Cyclone while moving that unit back that got targeted out of the lock-on range. And then what happens is the Cyclone's ability goes on cooldown, and then it has to wait till the cooldown comes back up to reacquire another target. And I haven't seen any, and it's just sort of like a Seeker missile. If you Seeker a unit, the unit that got Seekered has to move back. You have to move that unit away from your army backwards, so that or if you want to try and suicide it, forwards. But it's the same sort of micro in that sense. If you keep just moving everything forwards, then everything's going to blow up to the Seeker missile. Same thing for the Cyclone. If you don't move that targeted unit backwards, it's going to die. But if you move it back, you'll actually save that unit, and then you'll be able to target the Cyclone, and then there's this back and forth dance of micromanagement. The Cyclone has to reacquire another target out of these 3 targets or whatever. Cyclone has to reacquire one. the Protoss has to move that one back while moving the rest of his units forward. Cyclone goes on cooldown. Cyclone has to reacquire another target. The Protoss is moving everything back. And then, so it's this back and forth micro dance between the Cyclone and the Protoss. Now, with that being said, so the design, I think the design maybe is okay. It's like that. It could have a little more depth, I think. But that is the depth to this unit. That is how you micro against it. And obviously the player using the Cyclone wants to lock onto a close target so he can snatch that unit and get that unit or whatever. And but yeah, so that's the biggest thing right now. Protoss players aren't abusing the lock-on. They're not abusing the fact that you can mess with that's how you're supposed to micro against it, by moving that unit away. What was I going to say? Oh, with that being said, the range, once the Cyclone has locked onto a unit, if there's any complaint from Protoss players, it would probably be the huge range right now. It has a huge range that once the Cyclone is locked onto something, you know, here's a Cyclone and here's like a Stalker. The Cyclone can chase that unit down, and it's really, really tough to get out of the maximum range. But Blizzard can tweak that. I think if they're going to tweak anything about the Cyclone right now, it shouldn't be the damage, shouldn't be the health, shouldn't be any of that. It should just be the maximum lock-on range that the missiles fire from once you've locked onto a unit. To maybe give the Protoss or whatever player a chance to move that unit out of the distance to get the Cyclone to go back on cooldown. I think that would be reasonable. I think people shouldn't really jump on the Cyclone OP train yet. Another thing about the Cyclone that you won't understand unless you've used it a lot is that they're very strong early on in the game when there's very few units on the map. The Cyclone can kill a unit and then run away and come back and try and kill another unit. It's very strong in that respect. But once again, I haven't seen people doing the proper micro against it yet to really say, you know, is it too strong? People aren't microing against it. This is a type of unit that, like, 1 week from now, when people have more practice in the beta, we might think that the Cyclone is, like, just fine or even underpowered. Like, oh man, it never locks on anything. They just move the unit back. The Cyclone's actually fucking useless now. People actually learned how to micro against it. Fuck. Like, it could be one of those things. So people need to be really careful jumping on the you know, this is overpowered train or too strong train before people learn to micro against it as well. It is definitely very strong though. Early on in the game, when there's very few units on the map, it is very strong. That's actually the strongest that the Cyclone is. The longer the game goes, the weaker it gets because it's a single target unit. You gotta remember that. It has no splash damage. So as the game progresses, as there's more and more units in play, the Cyclone gets a little bit weaker. It sort of becomes actually, you know, fine at that point. So yeah, that's my thoughts on the Cyclone. I think the community really needs... I think it's ironic a little bit. The community asked Blizzard to put units in the game that require micromanagement. This requires the Protoss player to micro and move that unit back that got targeted. And the community, we asked for this! We asked! We said, Blizzard, please add more micro potential to the game. They listened! Blizzard listened! And now you're asking them to remove it! Fuck! Has it all been a lie, guys? Come on, StarCraft 2 community. Come on, guys. Be patient. 3 days into the beta. Be patient. They will tweak it if it needs to be tweaked. 3 days. Nobody's doing the proper micro against this unit at all. Nobody. I haven't seen a single person do it. Maybe there's one guy that did it and it looked pretty cool because he microed the unit out of the way. But there's like not many people actually microing against the Cyclone. They're just complaining. You asked for micro, you got micro, bitches. Like, come on, give it a chance here. They can, like I said, if they're gonna tweak anything about it, they can probably tweak the maximum lock-on range, which even I agree is like insanely long range once it's locked on. But don't, you know, give the unit a chance, I think. I think it has more potential than people are allowing it, or they're sort of just jumping on that train of like, this is like, you gotta micro against it. It's just like a secret missile. You gotta move the unit, whatever unit gets targeted, move it back. If you don't, you're gonna lose it. You didn't micro. And finally, so last thing here, the BC guys. You may have noticed I uploaded a YouTube video of me harassing with the BC and then teleporting the BC back to my base, which was pretty fucking hilarious, at least from my perspective. So, it's a good ability. I think BCs still sort of suck, to be honest. They're still sort of sucky, but we got warp drive, so that's cool. Why not? So yeah, I guess that's it, guys. Those are my first impressions on everything. I think the most controversial units are probably the Ravager and the Cyclone, and maybe the Carrier as well. Although the Carrier probably doesn't seem as controversial because it's mostly the Protoss streamers that are complaining about the Cyclone. So like nobody's even complaining about the Carrier right now. But I think out of everything, like I said, the Carrier is probably the thing that's beating everything for its cost, including its counters. Whereas like, at least the Cyclone, you can micro against it. Whereas like Carrier, just like, fuck, well, yeah, the interceptors are pretty strong, man. But we'll see. I think overall, so far, the beta is really good. I'm having a lot of fun with it. Oh, fuck! I forgot one thing. I forgot the Tankovac. Avilo TM. Trademarked. Tankovac. The Mechovac. The Tankovac. This has not been talked about. I forgot to talk about it. The Tankovac. This changes everything. I forgot to mention this. You can load up siege tanks in siege mode in the medevac and then like pick them up and load them. It's like a Reaver. It's exactly like a Reaver drop from StarCraft 1. I fucking love it. I've been actually, if you check my stream out, check my VODs, I've been opening TVZ with Tankovacs. I've been opening the game with Tankovacs. And it's actually like a legit opener. Like, you could actually open, like, tank medevac. I think in TVT, I've been messing around with it in TVT, too. And it's really good. Like, it's just like a Reaver drop. You can harass. You can do all sorts of crazy shit with this. The better you are with it, the stronger it is. It's like it's a skill-dependent thing. Like, you're going to really tell who is... Like, I even played against a Muslim. Although the Muslim was off-racing a Zerg, I opened the game with double Tankovac. And I was like, microing, like... a Tankovac over here, a Tankovac over here. He had like a bunch of Zerglings go attack this one, and like I loaded up the tank, dropped the other one over here, shot the Lings. He came over here, like the micro potential. It's insane. I love it. It changes the way a previous unit was used, and it's amazing. I love it. I love Legacy of the Void so far. The economy changes, the new units, a live game. A live motherfucking game. Yeah. A live game, guys. A live motherfucking game. And with that... and they haven't even added the new Terran... Like... The new Terran... Like, Terran is missing a unit. Terran doesn't feel complete because we're missing a unit. So what are they going to add? Like, a battle construction SCV, an SCV that can turn into its own fucking, like, mech suit? That would be cool. I posted my unit idea on the forums. Maybe they could take something from that. I thought my idea was really good. I thought my idea actually has more depth than a Cyclone does, to be honest. The bio mech unit out of the barracks and factory. I thought my idea was good, but that's probably because I came up with it. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see what they come up with for Terran. I hope that they push something out within the next like week or two for new Terran stuff, because it'll be like having a new unit will change the meta quite a bit. So I hope they push that out. Last thing I want to say, I hope that Blizzard really adopts the mentality of patch, iterate, change it. test it, it doesn't work, revert it, test it again, it does work, tweak it, test it, doesn't work, revert it. I hope, I've mentioned this in my other videos, that I hope Blizzard does this and that they move into this, because I feel like the new era of game development, I see like so many other developers they're just pushing out patch, test it, revert it, test it, tweak it, revert it, whatever. Like, I feel like the new era, like if they really want Legacy of the Void to like get back to like #1 esport, or like to be really fucking amazing, they need to be constantly not only tweaking the balance during the beta, but post-launch as well. That's what I'm saying. Like post-launch, if things, you know, need to be tweaked or to change the meta up every so often, you know, they need to. I think they should patch things more often, and I hope that they do that with Legacy. I hope that they do that with Legacy of the Void. I feel like that's the way. That's the way the future for StarCraft. I mean, a lot of other games, MOBAs, League, Dota, all those other games, they do that a lot. But I feel like that's also, I feel it applies to StarCraft as well. I feel like that's, so we have an ever-evolving meta that doesn't just stay the same for a year. I feel like that if Blizzard could do that, that would be a huge boon to their own game, and to the longevity of the game, as well as, you know, the esports value or whatever. So, this has been a long video, guys. I talked a little bit longer than I wanted, but hope I got all my thoughts out. Hope you guys like the video. You know, post this wherever. Hint, hint. Wink, wink. Post this video in places. And, yeah, I hope you enjoyed it. I hope I gave pretty objective opinions on most of the units. And, I hope that my feedback was constructive and applicable to the beta. If anybody from Blizzard is listening, I hope that, you know, this feedback, all you guys in the community, I hope I gave good feedback, and I'll do this more as I play more in the beta and watch more streams and see more things. And long live StarCraft 2, motherfuckers! I mean, let's do this. Let's make this a live motherfucking game. Let's do this. Let's do this, Blizzard. You work with us, we work with you. We do this. We're in this together. Let's do this. That's all I gotta say. A live game. A live fucking game. I'll see you guys later. Peace out, everybody. A live game.